I'm going to give you a quick look at all of the resources that are contained within this program and the way you can access them and the different options for delivery so that you can choose what works best for you or modify what we're providing to you to work best for you and your situation. So I'm going to just quickly share my screen so that I can bring up the things that we need to discuss. And the first thing you should see is the teacher page for the Manitoba Ag Days virtual program. You would have gotten this link in the email that Larissa sent to you yesterday. So all registered teachers will receive this link. And this page here contains everything that you need to participate in this program. So it's all the resources, all the virtual resources are located on this page. You will also notice that there are 3 different ways of delivering this program. You can do it as a teacher-led classroom experience, an in-class independent student learning experience, or if COVID is going to still pop up and change our lives, you may wish to have it as a remote student learning experience. So the first thing that's available to you on this page is a teacher guide. So you're just going to click on this and open it up. So on the first page, it's just a general description of the program. You will see it's in 2 parts. It follows our theme, think global, act local. So the first part, the students will think global and they will explore agriculture and our world. And in the second part, they will think about local, so act local, and explore agriculture and Manitoba. On the second page, we have identified all of the curriculum connections in grade 7 social studies that relate to the resources that are part of this virtual Ag Days program. We also touch on career awareness, which I know is more of a global theme throughout all of the subjects at this level. Moving on to page 3, you see that we have the 3 suggested delivery options. We're going to start with option A, which is most like the in-person event that we run for those of you who may have had the chance to bring your class to that in previous years. So this this teacher-led classroom experience, if you look over here, you'll see there's a list of materials that you need for that. So the only things that you as a teacher must provide is you'll need a computer projector and screen to show the PowerPoint that comes with this option delivery. You will also need 1 device, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop with a Wi-Fi connection for each student so that they are able to play through the learning experience that's online. Now I'm just going to click back to our teacher page and scroll down. You see here it says teacher-led classroom experience, and underneath here is each of the different resources that you will need in order to complete that experience. So the classroom discussion PowerPoint, that one, when you click on that, it will download and you'll be able to save it. And the great thing about that is you are going to be able to modify it to your needs, hide slides you don't care to use, add anything you might like to add in that we didn't put in there, and work with it that way. So we will be looking at that in a moment. There is an answer key for all of the discussion questions that we've provided. You'll have the actual student learning experience, the teacher-led version for this particular delivery option. And then in part 2, we have a video that goes with that. And we developed a Kahoot for the independent student and remote student learning experience, but certainly you could use it with the in-classroom teacher-led experience if you so wished. All right, so I'm just going to pop back into the teacher guide and scroll down here. We provide suggestions for classroom delivery. You'll notice that they are suggestions. Obviously, you're the professional. You know what's going to work best with your students and your situation, but this will give you some ideas. So we've based the delivery on a activate, acquire, assess type of a lesson plan. And we use the classroom PowerPoint to provide you with the materials to work through these ideas. So I'm just going to switch over to the PowerPoint for a minute. You should be seeing the PowerPoint now, at the back end of the PowerPoint. The first thing we have here is a discussion question to activate your students to start thinking about what do people require in the world in order to have a good quality of life? And of course, there are many answers to this. And then we're going to let the students know that, of course, all people require food. And so we are going to look more closely at food and the agricultural industry, because that's the industry that's responsible for growing, processing, and distributing food. We follow this with a quick little video, which I'm going to share with you now. Just move this for a second, on what is agriculture.
Sorry, Karen, there's no sound. Karen?
Did you say I don't have sound?
Don't have sound, yep. I don't know if anyone else can hear it. Can't hear it on my end.
Hold on. I'll just try that again. Yeah, I didn't check off the two things I was supposed to.
It happens. We all know it happens, right?
All right, let's try this again.
What do you think of when you hear the word agriculture? Do you think of farmers? Farmers are key to the production of growing plants and animals. Farmers rely on many others like fertilizer and seed salespersons, livestock nutrition specialists, bankers, farm equipment technicians, app developers, and agronomists in order to be successful. Agriculture also includes all of the people who work in processing, or taking the plants and animals grown by farmers and turning them into food products. And then there's the retail sector, which includes all those people who work at stores selling you the consumer food products. Agriculture is the business of growing, processing, and distributing safe, healthy food. Agriculture exists in rural areas, in cities, and in every country in the world because the one thing we all have in common is we all eat food. Have fun exploring the world of agriculture.
Okay, so then after you've shown them the video, then we can move on to screen, the title screen. This is what the students are going to see when they actually start the interactive learning experience. And in this experience, it's divided into 5 sections. And at the end of each section, the students will come to a stop and discuss slide. So you need to let the students know that when they come to this slide, they need to stop, and then you're going to pull the class back together and discuss what they have just learned in that section. And then if you look further down in our PowerPoint here, you will see for each section we have provided you with some discussion questions. So after the agriculture, what is agriculture section, there's questions to check in to see if they have understood the material that they just covered. What is agriculture? How are you connected to agriculture? And if they know anyone who works in agriculture and where they might work in agriculture. So that is kind of outlined and explained here on this first page, what I just showed you, some ideas for using that PowerPoint and introducing this to your students. So we went through this area here. So then the acquire part is actually to play the game. So I'm just going to switch back to the teacher page that we were on earlier. And you can see under the teacher-led classroom experience, we can click here, and this will take us into the game. Now, sometimes the students will get this black screen. It usually doesn't happen the first time they open the game, but since I have opened this game many times, this is a security feature that's built into each individual's computer. It's not something that we are able to change, but it's very easy. All you have to do is come down here where it says restart and click on restart, and then it takes you to the game. All right, we are going to go through this very quickly. I'm not going to allow time for you to read all of the instructions and materials, but I'm going to go through it quickly and so that you can get a feel for the content and how it plays out. So we click on how to play. It's going to tell them that it's broken into 5 sections. They're going to be able to earn points. They're able to get help all throughout the game whenever they need it. And they can enter their name and go to the next one. So based on the video they just saw, they should be able to answer this question and the false statement here and submit. And then we come to the stop and discuss. And so this is the time when you would check that they did understand what agriculture was and who would work in agriculture. And then when they go back to play the next section, they need to pick a continent. So I suggest that you number off your students 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, have all the 1s play North America, the 2s South America, the 3s Africa, etc. If they try and play Antarctica, it will tell them that there's no agriculture on Antarctica, so that's not a pick they can have. Just for our example, I'm going to play Asia. So I'm going to pick Asia and next. We tell them a little bit about global trade and Canadian agriculture, the fact that we export crops, we import crops, we send them all over the world. And then we have them do an activity where they have to take an item from a Canadian grocery basket and figure out which country it's a product of and where it came from. To help them out, if they don't know the names of the countries, they can click on the map and get a map that will help them figure that out. So here's the situation. We have coconut oil in our basket. It's a product of Vietnam. We have to decide which of these boxes it came from. And if I don't know where Vietnam is, I can click on the map and click here. I can look around. I'm still not seeing, so I can click here and that will zoom me in. And then I discover that, oh, there's Vietnam. So now I can close this out. And I know that that's Vietnam. That box connects to Vietnam. This one is going to go on the box that's connected to Thailand. This one goes into Turkey's box. This one goes into the Philippines. This one belongs to China, so it goes there. And this one belongs to India, so it goes there, and we submit. If they happen to get a wrong answer, they'll be given a chance to try it again. Now we're going to focus a little bit more on exports. Exports are a big part of Canadian agriculture. We export more than half of what we produce. We export to just about every country in the world, and we have some, of course, top exports there. Now this time we have to take an item out of the truck, the shipping truck, and we have to put it into the basket of the country that we exported it to. Again, we can get the map to help us. So we have beef that has to go to South Korea. So we have to find South Korea and we have to put it in the box that's with South Korea. This pork is going to go to China, the salmon to Russia, the wheat to Indonesia, the canola to United Arab Emirates, and the soybeans to Japan, and then submit. Okay, so just tell them a little bit about why exports are important to us as Canadians. They're very economically important. They are a lot of dollars a year in trade and in GDP. They give us a much more varied diet. They provide many jobs. And of course, it gives us political connections through trade with over 90% of the world. And that ends the section on global trade. So we would stop and discuss. Now I'm just going to stop sharing here because I can't see anybody when I'm doing this presentation. Just check in with Larissa if we have any questions.
We do not have any questions yet. No.
Okay, and everybody's happy. All right.
It's that way.
Okay, I will go back to sharing my screen. I just have to do this. This one and this one. Oh, it was hard to see because it's just the stop and discuss.
I'll just interrupt you, Karen, if anything does
Yes.
pop up, so you can keep going.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, so when they come to that stop and discuss slide, that's when the class would come back together. You would go back to the now, are you seeing the teacher guide right now, Larissa?
Yes. See the
Yes.
teacher guide. Yeah.
Okay, so when you finish the trade section, you would go back to the PowerPoint and you would find on that PowerPoint 2 discussion questions about global trade so that you could check in to see what the students had found out by working through, and they could compare one continent with the other because they will be different. All right, let's go back to the game. So now we move on to the population section. Do a quick reminder to the students that, of course, they need to stop and discuss, be prepared to discuss when they get to that slide. So we identify the current population, the expected population in 2050, that this gives agriculture a challenge to feed more people, and at the same time, we have to adapt to climate change. So it's very important that we understand population trends in the agricultural industry. And so since we chose Asia, we're going to try and figure out what's the population in Asia. And this gives us instructions on how to do it. So they're presented with a map. Every dot on this map represents approximately 20 million people. They have to kind of look at the map. In this case, we're focusing on Asia and decide which of these is the population of Asia. So Asia is fairly easy to figure out because it obviously has more dots than anywhere else. So we're going to choose that and submit. All right, so yes, 7.9 billion world population, 4.64 billion in Asia. So what percentage of the world population does Asia have? Now your mathematicians can actually figure that out, and ones that aren't as big into math can again use the map to kind of deduce what it must be. So if they've got the most dots, they probably have the biggest percentage. So it is nearly 60%, and submit. Okay, now we're going to take a look at how that population has changed over the years. So we start with the map, we click on 1960, and we can see what the world population was and how much of that was in Asia. Then 1990, then 2020, then 2050. And we can go back and check them out again if we want to, but as long as we've done each one once, we can go on. And then we're going to try and figure out what graph best shows us how population has changed in Asia. So we have the stats for Asia for each of those decades. And then we have to figure out which graph is representing that. So we can go back and forth on these graphs, but it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that one. Oh, that's the one. We click on it and submit. And then we're going to talk a little bit about rural and urban population trends. And so they're going to do an activity where they're going to see how rural and urban populations are distributed. So in 1960, each of the white dots represents a rural population, each of the black ones urban. And that's what it looked like in 1960. Rural population in the world, 79%, urban was 21%. Then they can compare that to 1990 to 2020, and to 2050. So again, 1960, 1990, 2020, 2050. So what they saw was that urbanization has increased every decade, and that this has been made possible by more productive farms. Because everybody has to eat, in order to be urban, somebody else is producing your food. So if we have fewer people producing food, then they must be better at it. So now we're going to look at what's made farmers better at producing food. So we've taken an example from Canada and looked at what's happened over the last 6 decades to the amount of these crops or animal products that we can get from each hectare for the crops or each animal for the animals. And now we're going to test whether they understand what is needed for a farmer to be able to feed many more people. So more career options in the cities, that's not really helping the farmer. Improved performance of farm machinery, advances in science and technology, more people on the planet isn't helping the farmer be better at producing food. Improved livestock genetics, constant innovation, more educated farmers, and better seed varieties will all help. And that brings us to the end of the population section. So you can go back and stop and discuss. And if we go back and just quickly look at the teacher guide, we see we have section 3, and there are 5 discussion questions there. Again, you don't have to do all 5. Some of these are very quick and short, so they don't take that long. You may pick 1 or 2 of these to focus on, whatever works for you and what kind of information you are wanting to cover with the students. Okay, and so the next section we're going to look at is land distribution. We are reminding them to stop and discuss when they get to the end of that section. So the first slide just identifies the kinds of things they're going to learn in this section. And they're going to figure out how much of the world land does Asia have. There are instructions on what to do. And so here they have the world map. It shows the percentage of land each of the continents has except Asia. So again, it can be a math problem for them to figure out, or they can try and do it a bit more intuitively, but they will eventually come up with the right answer or get a second chance if they get the wrong answer the first time. So Asia has 30% of the land, but of that 30%, only about 1/3. You can see that most of this gray land here throughout is not suitable for growing crops or livestock. So the next question becomes, what are the reasons why that land can't grow any livestock or crops? And so they get the instructions to click on the icon and then match it with the reason why it can't produce crops or raise animals. So if we click on the icon, it tells us that we have a taiga boreal forest that covers 17 million square kilometers of Russia, and it's not a crop growing area. And so we can match that with the fact that it's a forested area. We also have the Bazugan swamp. It covers 53,000 square kilometers. This one is far too wet. Here we have the Three Gorges Dam, covers 1,100 square kilometers. It's flooded former farmland, so now it no longer is used as farmland. And finally, we have the city of Delhi, which covers almost 1,500 square kilometers. And so urban sprawl is taking up the land and it can't be used for farming. And then we have a quick little fill in the blanks, test your knowledge. So the climate at Arctic is too cold for agriculture. The deserts are too dry. People moving into cities means that we have urban sprawl. Industrial activity can make land too polluted. And highways, railways, airports are examples of infrastructure that cover land that could be used for agriculture. and then they're going to stop and discuss. And when we go back to the teacher guide, you can see that on that PowerPoint that we looked at earlier, you will find 3 different possible discussion questions you can use with the kids to check their knowledge or expand a little further. Now, before you move into section 5, there is a short video, which I'll show you in just a second. So you will be working through the PowerPoint. I'm just going to switch over to the PowerPoint. I'm going to move down through the different sections we've already covered and all the discussion questions, and come to the food security video one. And we're doing fairly well for time, so we'll maybe take the time to actually show this video.
Food security is very important, but what does it mean? The United Nations definition states that food security exists when all people, at all times, have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet dietary needs for an active and healthy life. If you eat enough healthy food every day to lead an active, healthy life, you are food secure. Many things affect whether a continent's people are food secure, but we are going to focus on the role of agriculture. Remember, agriculture is the business of growing, processing, and distributing safe, healthy food. Without a successful agriculture industry, there will be no food security. Understanding food security requires agricultural answers to many questions, like, can we produce enough food in the world? Agriculture continues to improve food security and nutrition around the world by growing and raising more food. Can we distribute food to everyone? Agriculture uses innovative ways to help increase the distribution and access of food to all people. Does everyone have enough money to buy food? Agriculture helps economies to grow, providing more jobs and income to people so they can buy more food. What is needed for agriculture to create food security? Financial tools, like loans or crop insurance for farmers. Education of smallholder farms in their village or plant scientists at universities. Government policies to support and regulate agriculture and food. Research to support constant innovation and improve technology. Empowerment of women by providing equal access to agricultural resources. Infrastructure, such as roads, ships, and grain bins to store and move food from farm to consumer. Let's explore food security in your continent and the role that agriculture plays.
Okay, so you show that video, and then the students can move into the next section of the game, which is the food security section. So they're going to first come up with the definition of food security by matching these puzzle pieces. So they just click and drag. Food security exists when all people at all times have physical access. Now, if they try to put something in the wrong place, it will fit, but they would get it wrong. Or if they try to put one in the wrong place, it will bump it out. So they can move them around and get them the way they want them. Again, if they get it wrong, they'll get a second chance to try it again before they have to move on. Okay, so now we're going to look at food security throughout the world by checking out the percentage of food secure people in each continent. So we come back to the map, but here the black dots represent food secure people and the white dots represent food insecure people. And they have to decide if they've forgotten the question. It will be up here. Or if they don't remember how to go about answering it, it will be in here. So those are located on all of the activity slides. So they have to decide by looking at Asia and comparing it to what's happening in the rest of the world, which of these percentages best reflects how many food secure people live in that continent. So they have to choose one of them and then submit. So there's 91.7% are food secure, but we obviously need to work hard at improving the food security of the remaining 8.3%. So how does Asia go about doing that? So one of the ways that can do that is through agriculture. Obviously, it's not the only way, but we're going to look at what agriculture can do. They're going to be given 4 scenarios, and they have to decide what agricultural support is being used to help improve food security. So the first one tells them that in India, they lose 10% of their food grains due to poor storage, and that the Indian government is committed to building better grain storage bins using the latest technology so that they can minimize how much spoils. So what is happening here? And they look at the different choices they have and pick the one they think is being used to help improve food security. Here we have that 50% of Asian farmers are women, but they don't have the same access to agricultural resources, and that food security would increase if the women had that access so that they could grow more food. So empowerment of women is something that will improve food security. Here you have 30% of your smallholder farmers are illiterate. In 2009, India started providing free education for all students age 6 to 14. So the next generation of farmers should be able to read and write. Meanwhile, the Gates Foundation has been providing videos to spread production information to smallholder farmers. So all of this is hinged on education. And the last one, brinjal, also called eggplant, is a main crop in Bangladesh, but it is very susceptible to a caterpillar, which can destroy 60% of it. So they are constantly spraying pesticide, but they're still losing a lot of their crop. So the Bangladesh Agricultural Research Institute, a Indian cooperative, Cornell University and USAID came together and developed a genetically modified brinjal that can protect itself from the caterpillar, provided the seed free to the farmers, and farmers using the seed have been able to increase their income by 6 times due to reduced input costs for pesticide and increased yield. So this was better seeds. So then we have a review. Again, it's a fill in the blanks. So agriculture is the business of growing and processing food. You are food secure if you eat enough food every day. A successful agriculture is essential if you want to have food security. You can use research to develop new technologies and constantly innovate. You can access financial tools to help farmers insure against loss. And you can have strong government policies to create equal opportunities for women. That brings us to the end of the food security section. And again, in the food security section, we have several questions. And I've also embedded a couple of interesting, very short videos about empowering women in mostly in some of the African countries. They're put out by the World Food Program. Now, when you download this PowerPoint, it will, if I quickly bring up the PowerPoint, it will say enable editing. Because I put embedded those 2 videos in this PowerPoint, you have to allow them if you want to be able to use them. If you do not enable editing, you can still go ahead and use this PowerPoint. It just means that when you get to these 2 slides, you will not be able to play these videos. They are located on YouTube, so you can search them out there if you prefer to do that, or if your school firewall has a problem with it or whatever. When you download the video, the PowerPoint, if you never intend to show these 2 videos, you could just delete these slides, and then this enable ed team would not be a problem. If you do want to use these videos within the PowerPoint and show them to your students, all you have to do is allow enable the content. Sorry, it's enable the content, and then they will be live and you will be able to play them. Okay, and then there is only one more slide. Go to the next. It gives them the points that they earned, and it gives them the opportunity to do extra by clicking on no, or they can return back to the pick a continent slide, choose a different continent, and play again. All right, so Larissa, I'll just check in with you. Any questions before I carry on?
No, I think I answered most of them. Brenda just brought up, thanks Brenda, just about different kids' reading abilities, and if there was maybe a app that could be used along with the game to read out the words. I don't have anything to my knowledge at this point regarding that, but she did suggest that maybe students could pair up and share the reading together, and that could also be an option as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great option. I know, Brenda, we when we were developing this, we looked into trying to get it voiced over so that kids could listen to it, but it was outside our budget at the time. So it's not something that we can provide at the moment, but I love your idea about having kids share. I think that would work quite well too. All right.
That's it.
Okay, so that's the in-class one. It's quite involved. We have a couple of other options. I want to take a look at option B. This is called our in-class independent student learning experience. I'm going to take you back to the teacher page and scroll down. So you'll see here, up here, this was the teacher-led version. Down here under the in-class independent student learning experience, we have the student-led version. Now, the only differences between the two are the following. In the student-led, the what is agriculture and what is food security videos are part of the game. So they're actually in the game. And the student-led version has no stop and discuss slides because they're playing this independently. They'll play it through from beginning to end without stopping. So that's the only difference. It'll be otherwise all the activities, everything is the same as what we just played through. We did develop a Kahoot for the independent student learning so that you could either use it as a class competition or the students could play it on their own. Depends on how you want to assign it and what you want to do with it. So that's there. There's nothing stopping you using this as part of your in-class teacher-led option if you so choose to do that option. It just because they've done all the discussion questions, we didn't, this is kind of an assessment tool and you've kind of assessed by doing the discussing. And then that is all of the Think Global Agricultural World Part 1. But remember I said that this program came in 2 parts. So we're going to take a quick look now at the second part. And then the last thing I'm going to tell you about is the remote student learning experience. All right. So part 2 is a much shorter part. Again, we've set it up on an Activate, Acquire, Assess. So just some suggestions to get students thinking about agriculture careers, agriculture in Manitoba before they watch the video. And then there's a video to watch. It's about 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes long. And then just a way of assessing and wrapping up what they've learned from the video. So I'm going to show just a few minutes of the video, probably not the whole thing, just to give you the idea. And then quickly take a look at option C, and then we'll open up for question and answers. So if we go to this video.
My name is Kristen Phillips. I'm the General Manager for Manitoba Egg Days. We are excited to welcome you to Brandon, Manitoba to experience Canada's largest indoor farm show. So come on in, we're just getting set up. Manitoba Egg Days attracts over 550 exhibitors and 45,000 attendees from all across Canada and the United States. The depth and diversity of exhibitors here is incredible. If it has anything to do with agriculture, you will find it at our show. We bring in speakers of all sorts, covering topics like agronomy, marketing, livestock, and weather. We've had speakers like the Wealthy Barber, Rex Murphy, and Terry O'Reilly, and you can't forget the Tornado Hunter. Farmers attend these speakers to learn about new technology, better ways of farming, consumer food trends, and financial management on their farms. It's like a PD day for farmers and agronomists. Many agronomists attend our sessions to gain credits towards their professional development as well. We have an innovation showcase every year. It is for people in ag who are inventing new products and technologies to showcase their innovations. It is always the best attended part of our show. Attending Manitoba Egg Days is a great way for you to network and explore all of the opportunities for a fulfilling career in agriculture. We hope this video helps you understand all of the people and businesses involved in our local agriculture industry.
Do you like math and working with numbers and equations? Agriculture needs people who like math to understand local and global markets and to help farmers make good financial decisions. Do you enjoy science, understanding the natural world, or discovering new things? Agriculture needs people who can continue to find sustainable ways for us to produce and process agricultural products. Did you know that canola was developed right here in Manitoba? Agriculture needs scientists, researchers, veterinarians, agronomists, and innovators.
Okay, so that just gives you an idea. We go through several different subjects and lots of different jobs and how jobs are available in rural areas, in cities, in any part of the world you want to imagine. So there's lots of opportunities for people with diverse interests and skills. Oh, clicking on the wrong one. And that is basically what the ACT local part of the program is. All right, so we have one last thing to look at, and then we'll have any questions and answers that you would like. So the very last option available is a remote student learning option. And all you need for that is to share this link with your students. What that does is it takes them to the remote student page where we have laid everything out step by step. So step one, because of the way your grade 7 social studies curriculum is, and this applies also to the student-led in class one that we talked about in option B, I would suggest that students play one of these continents, Europe, North America, or South America, and then play a game using one of these continents, Africa, Asia, or Oceania, to get kind of the two different parts of the curriculum covered. So they click on here and that takes them to the game. It'll be the student-led version with the videos in it and no stop and discuss slides. They click on here and that takes them to the Kahoot where it's all set up for them to play the Kahoot. If they click on here, this takes them to questions to get them activated about any agricultural jobs that they know about, or whether they consider having a job, and what subject they like, and that sort of thing. And then it prompts them to go and watch the video, which is here. They only have to click on it and they can watch it. And then they can finish questions 7 and 8 after the video by answering how many more jobs that they now know about and whether they would now consider a job in agriculture. And we have included, this is strictly optional, but there's a really good website that Agriculture in the Classroom Canada has put together that allows students to explore different agricultural degree jobs, depending on their interests. So there's that one there, but strictly optional if students wanted to. All right, I am going to stop sharing and come back and open it up for any questions you have, comments.
We did have one question here from Emily. So I don't know if you want me to speak on behalf of you, Emily, or not, but I'm more than happy to. She's just wondering if a student starts playing the game and wants to come back and play it, but unfortunately in their school they have a laptop cart, so the student might be coming back on a different device to pick up where they left off, if they will be able to do so. Unfortunately, Emily, I do believe that if you switch devices, that black screen would take them back to the beginning if it's on a different device. If they come back on the same device, they would come to that black screen and be able to resume or restart. Unfortunately, if they switch devices, they would have to restart only. So we would recommend, if you have the ability to let a child play through the one continent in its entirety, and then take a break and then come back and play a second content at a later time, if you're able to do so.
Yeah, it is a limitation to the game, so you're going to have the amount of time available to allow them to at least finish one complete playthrough on the game.
And on average, Karen, we found completion time, we did pilot this with students, and it was averaging about 20 to 25 minutes to play through the game in its entirety, leaving enough time for them to read, explore the videos, and complete one continent. And I believe that's the only question that has come through so far. I don't know if there's any other questions that anyone has. Oh, here's one. Oh, just a comment. This is a great resource that has a lot of thought about all the angles. Well done. Thank you, Allison.
Yeah, so again, we've put in suggestions for delivery. We've given you tools. Use them the way they work best for you. I mean, that goes without saying. You're all professionals. You all know what your kids are like, the psychology and culture of your classroom. And of course, COVID may throw you back into remote learning, and then maybe that remote student option is going to be a great one for you to use. We would love to know how it went, get some feedback. This is a brand new program. We do our best to try and figure out all the angles, but there's nothing like actually using it in the classroom. So Larissa, I don't know if I'm out of place, but we probably will be asking later on in the year if you would fill out a feedback survey and give us some feedback. We try and keep it simple and quick.
Yes,
but we would really appreciate it.
And
the other thing I'll mention is that we do have a monthly draw for a gift certificate we take any teacher that's like posted a picture or sent us an email or let us see your kids in action doing any AITC-M program. So if you're busy doing that and it's easy just to pop us a picture or put one up on social media, if that's something that you're able to do or allowed to do, or pop it to us in an email, then we'll put your name in that draw for that gift certificate. So thank you very much for attending. Certainly if you have any other questions or any comments as you use this in your classroom, you can get in touch with Larissa and we will respond to you as best we can. Larissa, any parting words from you? Anything I've forgotten?
No, I don't think so. Great job, Karen. And like she said, any questions, feel free to shoot them my way. I'd be happy to answer them. And we're really, really pumped to see how this is taken on by your students and to hear some feedback from you. This has been a big labor of love for us over at Agriculture in the Classroom Manitoba. And we're really pumped to see this finally launching in classrooms and with all of you. So thank you so much for registering for this program.
Yeah. And we should probably mention, I mean, we are a nonprofit and we can only do this with support from donors, and Manitoba Ag Days supports us for our in-person program that we have run for many, many years, and then they have had to cancel and this year now postpone their Manitoba Ag Days for 2 years, but they still continue to support us to produce this virtual program for you. And we had additional support through Canadian Agricultural Program, which is a federal provincial program, and through Viterra. So that's where they've come from. We are happy for you to share this with other colleagues. All we would ask is that you ask the colleague to register, because that lets us know how many teachers, how many students, how many parts of the province we are able to reach with this program. And that's really important. That's what our sponsors and our donors and our members want to know is, are we supporting things that are effective? So if you are interested in this, if you want to recommend this to other colleagues, great. Just ask them to register so that we have a record of how widely this resource has been used.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you everyone for attending. We really appreciate it. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.